the children of those boomers and Warren Court people, those black excellence folks, that was like, we're going to be black excellence, which essentially means we gonna be not like them niggas, but black. But a handful of rich niggas don't fix things for all black people. So one thing I thought was really insightful and interesting that you brought up was elder millennial elitism. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's explicitly elder millennials, but it is like petite bourgeois, black bourgeois elitism. That is something, like, I'm sure y'all don't really watch me too tough. Your dad might watch me.
I watch it. I watch your videos.
Okay, so I've got into this in like my more political shit, like, and that's something I've been thinking about a lot because I am a product of that, which is like, there's a set of Negroes that have just enough connectivity, understanding, and ability to perform the coolest black trends, but also rarely truly were of that life and of that world, and have resources and privileges that mean they can go and they can perform that and bring it to a bigger audience and be accepted and make money off of it. Like you talked about Sexy Red, you're right. I don't like Sexy Red, but not because of her behavior, because of her politics. That's another conversation. I actually made a video defending Sexy Red. So like I defended Sexy Red because I was like, look, Sexy Red seems incredibly authentic. And if you pay attention to a lot of these rap girlies, none of them actually are. Most of them are performing this ratchet hood thing that, you know, is popular, but they didn't grow up wearing hoop earrings. Their parents didn't wear hoop earrings. You know what I'm saying? Saweetie, you know what I mean? Lotto. Like, these are not children who are truly of the performance that they present. So there's an important thing to, I just want to say that's important for us to be like thinking about more, which is how do essentially petite bourgeois niggas with little money make hood, you know, people who are really from that feel like they're not even a part of their own shit that they're creating, you know what I'm saying, and not give them access to it.
I feel like a lot of that comes from, like, I made a video about this before where I've talked about my issue with black millennials. And I think my biggest problem is it feels as though it's two-folded. First things first is I feel like y'all was heralded as a generation to change everything, and then has turned y'all back on changing shit. Y'all just been like, nope, too focused on me to ever do anything. Don't want to have kids, don't want to have a family, don't want to help the young niggas, don't care about the young girls. Some of y'all don't want to be called auntie and uncle, losing recipes. Y'all not doing cookouts. I'm gonna get to that point. Okay. That's the biggest issue, is like the commodification of blackness, because most of these people haven't just figured out they were black in 2016. Like they figured out they was black when they went onto a college campus for the first time and was like, oh shit, I'm a nigga. But me growing up in North Philly, I've been around niggas my whole life. I've been acutely aware of my place in society since I was 13. My stepfather told me, you a big ass nigga. Don't be sitting on my couch on a Saturday in your boxers. I've been acutely aware of my size and how I present for a very long time. Right. But some people have not had that same experience of having to be told who they are until they was too grown to realize it was an issue, if that makes sense. You see what I'm saying? And
I completely agree with you, except for you're limiting it to millennials. That is a generational cycle with black folks, probably since at a minimum the 60s, that you're describing, because you're describing the gap. So can I get super? Can I pull all my degrees and books out for a second?
Go ahead, teach me.
So here's what you're describing. So we have the civil rights movement that starts in the 50s. The civil rights movement, for all its greatness, was a pretty conservative movement. And it's like vibes. It wasn't conservative in what it was doing. It was very radical in what it was doing. And it was arguing for radical, really left-leaning things, especially for the time. But it also wanted to keep this relatively traditional veneer around it. And it wanted to, it was greatly seeking, not completely, but the formula they were working with was, we're going to integrate into society. And they won a lot of shit. They like affirmative action, which is gone now. Set aside programs, The Warren Court, they call it the Warren Court era. Supreme Court Justice Earl Warren, I think, presided over numerous rulings to basically say, hey, be less racist, y'all, so we can deal with this race problem. And the results of that wasn't for everything to get fixed for all Black people, but for a portion of Black people that I was just describing, the petite bourgeois, the Black bourgeoisie, with a little access, a little sense, a little talent to hit the ground running. And so they were out there. They were, Jet Magazine comes out of that era. You know what I'm saying? Like all the original Black entrepreneur imagery that you think of, Bob Johnson from BET, Clear Channel Sister, all these people, they hit the ground running and they go get it. But a handful of rich niggas don't fix things for all Black people. And the first thing they recognized was that, look, I got this money now. I got my kids now. I'm trying to make sure they okay. I ain't about to be here in North Philly with y'all niggas while y'all still running the streets trying to grit scraps. So they moved. So what you're describing especially is a generation of millennials that were moved to white suburbs.
Yes.
Where they were token Negroes. Mm-hmm. And did not have the same type of connectivity to Blackness that you might have had and that I had. I was lucky and I kind of got the best of both worlds. My mom moved me to a Black suburb because I was in Chicago, so we had that option. And then I stayed around other parts of my family. And then my mom was a Black Panther, so I never had like any of those
delusions of non-Blackness.
I had none of that shit. My mom was like, nah, nigga, we Hoteps over here. We didn't call it Hoteps at the time. But you know what I'm saying? And so it's but the children of those Warren Court adults, those Gen Xers and boomers, because my mom is a boomer, the children of those boomers and Warren Court people, those Black excellence folks, that was like, we're going to be Black excellence, which essentially means we're gonna be not like them niggas, but Black. We're gonna be, have wealth and class and Jack and Jills and Boulay and all these things. We're gonna have all the same things that white people got, but it's gonna be our stuff.
The difference between a Black and a nigga, basically like the old Chris Rock joke, right?
Right. That Chris Rock joke we thought was so funny. We thought that shit was really. You like, yo, I see why Will Smith smacked you, bro. Like this is kind of fucked up. Yeah. And so what you're feeling, like you should look into my boy Lil Bill. You ever watch Lil Bill?
Nah. I'm not sure, man.
Lil Bill's from South Philly, I think. Okay. And like he's like, it's funny, like I envy him on some levels because he has a more Black audience. But we talk the same exact shit. He don't fuck with Drake either. But he has that connectivity because he's from the hood for real. Like grew up in a hood situation for real, and then got a chance to go to college, get educated, yada, 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 and like sees both sides of the situation and can better critique it than really I can, because I only really see the petite bourgeois side. But I say all that to say, you're completely right in your critique. That critique, that's what I'm saying, like knowledge is not limited to institution. What you're saying is niggas with 75 degrees that I still can't convince to see that same shit because a lot of them don't want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's completely true. And it's a big part of Black people's problems because Black folks get a lot of like, I'm not like, this is not a take I am like gonna die on the hill of, but I'm not a super big fan of reparations. And the only reason I'm not is not on some like, oh, we don't need it, like some bullshit, whatever. It's like if we got reparations right now, it would go to Jay-Z. You know what I mean? It would go to LLC niggas. It would go to niggas that would not share it with the streets for real. They would be investing it and buying Bitcoin and trying to make themselves richer.
Flipping properties to Black people who don't
have money
to pay rent every month.
Shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like, like we haven't had the political education to know what to do with what reparations needs to be, because it will only be a one-time thing. You know how these motherfuckers will do is. So what you're saying is, aside from being a Drake fan, that shit is top tier analysis, brother. And I wanted to make sure I gave you those flowers.
Well, hello, potty mouth.